The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, says the agency has uncovered how a religious sect in Nigeria is laundering money for terrorists. The EFCC boss made the revelation on Wednesday at the Musa Yar'Adua Centre, Abuja, during a one-day dialogue on youth, religion, and the fight against corruption. While speaking at the event, Olukoyede stated that investigations have shown that religious organizations, institutions, sects, and bodies are now being used as conduit pipes to launder money.
Involvement of youth in cybercrime and the susceptibility of our ministries, departments, and agencies to grand corruption. The idea of computer-related fraud for our youth, especially those in tertiary institutions, is deeply concerning. So too is what appears like a pushback against the enforcement actions of the Commission by the youth themselves and managers of some of our institutions. The danger of having a tribe of future leaders whose outlook in life is that of fraud and corruption are the stairways to fame and fortune is, however, too dire to treat with kid gloves. In the same vein, extreme vulnerability of our MDAs to corruption has led to resource camouflage and attendant negative impact on the nation's development. Both trends easily provoke a host of questions. How do we prevent government agencies from becoming endless conduits for the theft of public funds? How do we get our youth to shun cybercrimes and follow the narrow path of honor and integrity? How do managers of tertiary institutions produce graduates that are truly certified, fit in learning and character? What help can the society lend to the academia in nurturing these youngsters? There are no easy answers to these questions, but I believe the managers of our academic institutions are central to the quest for answers to some of the questions. Our invitation of vice chancellors, rectors, and provosts of Nigerian universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education as participants in this engagement is therefore strategic. It is our view that the academia can contribute more in the anti-corruption fight through mentorship, as youth in today's fast-paced world need close supervision to navigate their path to success and purposeful living. I share this with you. In my 3 months in office, we have recorded about 747 convictions. And it's so sad that a substantial portion of that conviction have to do with cybercrime, the involvement of the youth. About 60% of our convictions. Now, if we have 60% of our youth, of our number of our convictions that have to do with cybercrimes and involvement of youth, that poses a great concern to us as a people. In the long run, in the long term, developing and infusing anti-corruption courses for curriculum could be the game changer as a deliberate program of reorientation for this demographic. This will be more productive than the current tendency towards finger pointing over the embarrassing issue of student involvement in fraud. What the delegate situation calls for is consensus building and joining of forces to tackle a problem that threatens the future of our youth and the collective destiny of our nation. This task, in my estimation, will be made much easier with the intervention of other institutions whose moral authority compels respect and reverence. No other institution feels this better than the religious bodies. This is the motivation for bringing leading figures from the academia and the clergy for this unique rubbing of minds. We are persuaded that religious leaders and institutions can offer help as a sounding board of integrity and transparency. Our belief in the potential of faith in anti-corruption led the Commission to develop the Interfaith Manual, a preaching and teaching guide for Christians and Muslims. These documents are before us today and will be formally presented shortly. We are optimistic that using these resources, the major religions will be in better stead to address the integrity and moral deficit that we find in our society. To our faith leaders, my appeal is that those who lead our society from churches and mosques should develop messages that glorify industry, that glorify hard work, that glorify integrity, probity, contentment over unbridled quest for wealth. Irrespective of how it was made, we all must stand up and be counted in the effort to reset the mentality of our youth that the first lane to affluence is fraud. No, we should change their mentality. Therefore, I like to plead very specially to our religious leaders. It's so saddening that I stand before this eminent audience today, that our experience in fighting corruption that involve religious leaders and even traditional rulers is nothing to write home about. As I'm standing before you, there is a matter we are handling. A pyramid scheme that involved over 30 billion naira fleeced from Nigerians. Along the line, some people died, some victims, collapsed and all of that. We were able to trace about over 7 billion to a particular religious body. And so what did I do? I said, look, write a letter to the leader of that religious sect. We did. And the next thing we saw was a restraining order. The money traced to that religious organization to their leaders. We got a restraining order stopping us from inviting them, stopping us from recovering the money. Meanwhile, people have died along the line. Money traced directly to your body. And that's what we are battling. Of course, we have appealed. And now this is the situation that is facing us. Religious leaders, religious bodies. When I was chief of staff, we investigated the issue of money laundering. Somewhere in this country, there's a particular religion, a sect, that laundered money for terrorists. Laundered money for terrorists. Religious faith. And these are the problems that we are battling with. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, aside from our commitment to using faith to tackle corruption in various levels of society, we have also developed a remarkable tool which we intend to deploy to prevent corruption in our FDAs. This tool is called the Fraud Risk Control Project. Now, this is not a replica of what our sister agency, ICBC, is doing, which basically has to do with the system study review. Now, what we are trying to do is to take it further. System study review is good, but what are we doing with the report? So we are not just going to stop at fraud risk assessment for the MDAs. We have gotten approval of the president that we should set a matrix, what we call the fraud risk control. So when we set the template, once you go below the threshold, we will not allow the money to be stolen. We come in and begin to investigate. It costs less to prevent than to recover. That's the essence of the fraud risk assessment project we are going to embark on. Now, which is also being unveiled today. It's meant to assist government agencies to address systemic vulnerabilities at the personnel, institutional, and environmental levels and take preemptive measures. When fully developed, it will save the nation billions of naira in stolen wealth, time and resources spent in investigating and corruption cases. The project is intended to commence in the first instance with 20 extremely vulnerable agencies of government. And I'd like to pray the indulgence of His Excellency, sir, that one of the institutions I've penciled down is the State House itself. So we are going to start our fraud risk assessment at the villa. When we leave the villa, we are going to the National Assembly. We are going to the National Assembly Service Commission. We want to look into what they are doing there, their contract and procurement and work process. When we leave that place, we are going to the Federal Judicial Service Commission as well. And so we're going to balance it before we start talking about the ministries. I've been trying to look out for the Honorable Minister of Works here. He's not here, but after those three core areas, we are going to the Ministry of Works. We are looking at those who take the large chunk of our budget. We want to see what they do with that money going forward. Finally, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to commend the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Ola Olukoyede, for his unflinching support to the fight against corruption in Nigeria. With the political will of the administration, I believe that we have a golden opportunity to rewrite the story of our nation's quest for improved transparency and accountability in public affairs.